Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi Shrali Sadri, Vayassali Amri, Varu Luqtatam Midisani, Qali Rabbi Zidema. Okay, now children, we are here with another chapter, chapter number 5 for revision. Before we proceed to the revision of this chapter, quick recap. Let's recall that we have revised chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we are going to revise chapter number 5, the internet and its uses. What are the key objectives of this chapter? You need to study the difference between internet and World Wide Web, www. You need to know the meaning of URL and its parts. You need to know the purpose and operation of HTTP or HTTPS. You need to know the function and the purpose of web browser, what the web browser is, its definition. You need to know how to retrieve, how to locate, and display the web pages. And a very important topic of this chapter is types of cookies. What are cookies and what are the types of cookies? And now, the second subtopic of this chapter is digital currencies, and we need to learn or revise how digital currencies work and how are they being used, the process of blockchain, and how are they being used to track the digital currency transactions. Then another important thing that we need to study here is cybersecurity, a very, very important topic. And here we will talk about the threats that we encounter, like brute force attack, data interception, distributed denial of service attack, which is DDoS, and hacking, malware, phishing, farming, social engineering, and we are also going to learn how to prevent or mitigate the risk of the security threats. Now let's start with the very first one, and that is difference between internet and World Wide Web. Now the two terminologies are misunderstood by a number of people, so we are here very quickly recapping what internet is and how to define World Wide Web and how are they different from each other. First thing is you need to know that users can send and receive emails when they are using internet. And internet is just a concept. It's not something that is physically existing. It's simply there when we connect a number of computers together and they are there to share the different, consider different things. And it allows online chatting like via text. You can chat via text or you can chat via audio or video. It makes use of TCP IP or transmission control protocol, internet protocol, a very important terminology that you need to know with respect to internet. And lastly, it's a worldwide connection of interconnected networks and devices. So these are the terminologies that you need to know in order to talk about the internet. And let's move to World Wide Web, www. It's a collection of multimedia web pages and other information on websites. It is using HTTPS protocols, which are written using hypertext markup language, HTML, which we have studied in chapter number 1. Uniform resource locators are used to specify the location of web pages. Web resources are accessed by web browsers, and www uses the internet to access information from the web server. So this is how you can differentiate between them. The www uses the internet to access information from the web servers. Now, very quickly, note them down, and then we'll move to the next topic. Okay, then now the next topic is uniform resource locator. So first thing that you need to know is what is uniform resource locator? Uniform resource locator is basically another name for website address and web browsers, which are the software that are needed for just a minute, give me a minute, and then we'll continue. Now, coming back to this uniform resource locator, what is it? Another name for website address. You need to know the definition, or another one that you can see are text addresses used to access the websites. This is a very formal definition, as you can say, that is needed for talking about the web uniform resource locator or URL. Now, why do we need URL definitely to access a website? And where do we type it? We type the URLs in web browsers or simply the browsers. And we have studied these browsers earlier in chapter number 4. These browsers are software that are needed to access and display the web pages, or they are there to play multimedia from the websites on the user's devices. And another important thing that you need to know about the web browser is they are interpreting hypertext markup language. sent from the websites. So these definitions, these 2 points are very much needed in order to answer the definition of a web browser that comes in the paper. So this is what you will write. Software that allow users to access and display web pages or play multimedia from websites on their devices. And second point will be the browser interprets a hypertext markup language sent from the websites. And that will give you 2 marks for the definition of web browser. And similarly, URL, a 1 mark question can come in the paper, and this is how you will answer, and you'll be able to score. Now, what are the parts of the URL? This is what again you need to know. The website address or the URL is composed of protocol, a website address, path, and the file name. And what is a protocol? It is either HTTP or HTTPS. Then we have the website address that is going to be composed of domain host, which is www, domain name, which is the website name that we write, and then domain type, which can be .com, .org, .gov, .edu, whatever the domain type is. And sometimes it contains a country code like .uk, .pk, etc. So this is how we can talk about the components or the parts of the URL. Again, a very important topic that can come in the paper. So be prepared, and this is how you can score, and that will not be a problem for you. Now moving to the next thing. HTTP and HTTPS, what is the difference? Some people confuse them to be similar, but otherwise they're different. HTTP is a set of rules that must be obeyed when transferring files across the internet. And HTTPS is a secured one where you can see. Now, this is also shown through a padlock. So whenever you encounter a padlock, that is indicating that your website is a secure one, and HTTP is indicating your website is not a secure one. Although it's a set of rules that must be obeyed when transferring files across the internet. Now, this is what the brief description about HTTP and HTTPS is. You need to know in order to answer accurately. Now, moving once again to the web browser. So here we can see. The term is described here. Web browsers. What are they composed of? So very quick recap of what we have done till now. Web browser, the definition that we talked about, the same definition is here. Interpret or translate HTML from websites and show the result of translation on the user screen. And features. This question has come in the paper also. So just whenever you are sitting in the examination and if for example you have forgotten the features, so just close your eyes and remember and recall. A home page, the very first page that appears, and it has an address bar. The ability to store favorites, which is a bookmark, you can say. Keeping a history of websites visited, which is the user history. It is also having the ability to allow the user to navigate forward and backward by clicking on the forward and the backward buttons, allowing many web pages to be open at the same time by using multiple tabs, making use of cookies, which will be discussed once again in the later part of the chapter, using hyperlinks to navigate between the websites. And we can either the website is underlined and it requires control delete, a control click to be done to open the website. Or so you can simply point your finger with the help of the mouse, and then you can see that it changes to a hand and you can click on it, and again you can visit the website. It can also make use of the data stored as a cache, which we have already studied earlier in chapter number 5, like earlier also, and make use of JavaScript. So this is what is the brief description about what the web browser is composed of, the features of web browser. They come in the paper, you can mention them, and in this manner you will be able to score the marks. Now, next topic is retrieval and location of web pages and websites, a very simple one. So for this, you need to recall something that we studied earlier. Like for example, if I type the URL, and definitely the URL is not understood by the web browser, so it is converted into its equivalent IP. Fine, this is what we already have studied. And then this is what we are learning, that how this is done. So in order to retrieve pages from a website, a browser needs to know the IP addresses. And now it won't be able to make use of the IP addresses and from now, what do we do actually? A DNS or domain name server is used to find the IP address from the domain name in the URL typed by the in the browser window. Like I am the user, I type the URL. It is not understood readily by the computer. It is converted into its equivalent IP, as you can see. If, for example, I type this URL it will be converted into its equivalent IP by the DNS, or this is what is shown here with the help of a diagram also. And this again can come in the paper. So one question which you people keep on asking about quite often is that is annotate and draw a diagram. So this topic can come in the paper asking you that how the DNS server is accessed and how the data is accessed and retrieved whenever you are working on accessing the website. So you can see here, this is my computer. And I want to actually I type the URL and I want to access this web server. So first of all, what will happen? First of all, my computer will access the DNS server 1. Now, this is what you can see. The 1 is indicating that first of all, the my computer, which has typed the URL, will be accessing the DNS server 1 for the equivalent IP address. If found, wonderful, it will be returned. But otherwise, if, for example, it's not found, so it will be searched in DNS server 2. So the equivalent DNS server, if the equivalent IP address is found in DNS server 2, fine, it will be returned back to DNS server 1, and DNS server 1 will now be noting it down. It's in its database that next time it will not be needing to access in some other way. And then it will be returned to the computer. And then you can see a two-way communication between the computer and the website server is going to begin. So please be clear. Till this point, you can see the diagram is showing you the arrow from the computer to the DNS server 1, then from DNS server 1 to DNS server 2, then the reply is sent, or the equivalent IP address is sent, and that is number 3. And then this DNS server 1, after noting down the IP address, will return the values or to the computer system. That is again a one-headed arrow. And then you can see a two-headed arrow indicating a two-way communication between the computer and the website server. So this is the whole process explained. If this comes in the paper, you draw the diagram, just draw the boxes. You do not have to draw the computer the way it is drawn here. You simply have to draw rectangles for all these four things, like the computer, DNS server 1, DNS server 2, and the website server. And then simply need to draw the arrows and just write down the simple form. The same thing as I did here, as explained here, the same thing is explained here also, that what has to be done, what is done whenever a website is being accessed, or whenever what is the process. And the last thing that we have to study under 5.1 is cookies. Now, first thing that we need to know is what are cookies and are they dangerous or not? Cookies are small files, and these small files of code are stored on a user's computer permanently or temporarily, and they are sent by a web server to the browser on a user's computer. So just be clear, cookies are sent by whom? By the server to the browser. Like I am going to receive, I being the user, my computer system will be getting the cookies sent by the web server on my PC. Now, what is it supposed to do? First of all, be clear, it's not like a virus, it's not dangerous. It's simply there to hold the user preferences. So next time when you visit a website, something similar to what you have been visiting quite frequently will be shown to you, and that is what the cookies are doing. So you can see here, a cookie behaves like a small lookup table, which allows the cookie to track data about the user's internet activity. Every time the user revisits a website, it checks if it has set cookies on the browser before. Now, this is a pre-description. Talked about that cookies are not dangerous. We should not be worried about them the way we are worried about the malware, the way we are worried about the viruses. But we should be a little cautious because they are there to observe the internet activity, and just be a little bit cautious. Now, moving to the types of cookies. The two types of cookies are session cookies and persistent or permanent cookies. Now, these are the two types of cookies, and they are discussed here. As the name implies, session cookies are only for the time being. They're only for the session. And the moment you disconnect from the session cookies data is gone. And as you can see here, they are stored temporarily on the user's computer. Once the browser is closed, the website session ends and the cookie data is deleted. That is what the description of session cookie is. Persistent or permanent cookies, they are able to remember the user's login details. They are stored on the user's hard drive until expiry date has reached, or the user deletes them himself. They remain in operation even after the browser is closed or website session has been terminated. And this is why they are given the name persistent cookies. And remember, persistent are permanent. Session cookies, as the name implies, are only for the time being. Now, what kind of data is stored in session and persistent cookies? Session cookies are used for making online purchases. They are used for virtual shopping baskets. So whenever you're making any purchase online, the virtual shopping basket is being used, then session cookies are there in action. Stored temporarily only for the single website session and are deleted when the user leaves the website. Don't collect any information about the user and don't identify who they are. Now, it means that in other words, you can think yourself right now that session cookies are not do not seem to be very dangerous because they are simply there for the time being. Persistent are allowing websites to remember user passwords, email addresses, and other information, and they are permitting faster login. So you may have experienced that sometimes when you visit a website, then which you have visited earlier, so it does not prompt you to enter the password or anything because the persistent cookies are already holding the data and they are permitting the faster login process. Serve as a memory, enabling the website to recognize users every time they visit the website. Save users' items in a virtual shopping basket, track users' browsing habits and website history, allow targeting of specific users with advertising based on previous buying or surfing habits. Now, just giving an example. For example, I was just searching for maybe some information on computer terminologies or maybe some other courses. So next time, if you have observed that, like I observed that my browsing history is going to show, or my feed will be having some information which is dealing with something similar, and it is all because of cookies, because they are storing my preferences, whatever I visit. Maybe if I am watching some matches, maybe some football match that have happened yesterday. So next time if I open my browser, so it will be showing something similar because they are showing the user preferences or the surfing habits. Used in online transactions, allow social networking sites to recognize certain preferences and browsing history. Otherwise, if you again, you have observed the thing that you have visited quite often, something similar to this one comes in your feed. And this is all because of the cookies that are holding your preferences. Allow different languages to be used on the web pages automatically as soon as the users log on. So these are a few of the information that we need to know about the cookies, what the cookies are, and what kind of data is stored by session cookies and the persistent cookies, and the difference. Now coming to the question and answer, sample questions and sample answers, and this is just an activity to just recap the topics that we have learned and how to answer those questions also, so that our examiners are giving us the full marks or the maximum marks. Now question number A, define what is meant by a cookie. Describe the differences between a session cookie and a persistent cookie. Give 3 uses of persistent cookies. Now you can see it's 2, and 3 mark question. Now for a 2-mark question, what is the sample answer that they wanted you to write, and here a tip is given. Part A asks, ask for an explanation of the term cookie. This requires a precise definition of the term. Part B is a description where the differences between the 2 types of cookies are required. Avoid answers such as session cookies are temporary, whereas persistent cookies are permanent. This would not be regarded as a description of the difference. To answer the question fully, explain what is meant by the word temporary, for example, deleted at the end of a website session, and the word persistent, for example, stored on a user's computer, even till the time the expiry date has been reached, or the person has deleted it himself. So this is what, and part C needs 3 briefly described uses of persistent cookies that would be required, and this is enough to handle the whole stuff. Now let's see the sample high-level answers. Remember what we have discussed, and then let's see what the sample high-level answers are. Cookies are small files. You can see just very quickly, go through the answers, and then you can see, are these answers the one that you needed? Yes, beta. Is this what you have written as an answer? Cookies are small files or code stored on a user's computer. They can track users. They can track data about a user, such as IP addresses and browsing activity. Session cookies, the definition, the type of cookies that are storing the data temporarily. Uh, Okay, that's wonderful. If you have written the somewhat similar answer, then that's really great. So you can see here, they do not collect any information from the user's computer and do not identify the user. They cease to exist on a user's computer once the browser is closed or the website session has ended. So this is what they want you to write in order to score like good marks. So again, you can see the first answer is clear and concise, although the use of bullet points make the answers easy to read. Many students may prefer to write the answers in an essay format. So again, this is a question which has been asked quite frequently by the students when are asked about the description. What should they follow? I mean, that's perfectly okay. If you're doing it this way, if you think that this is something that will make your concept a little clearer, that's perfectly okay. You can do it this way. Fine. So you can see this is what is the best thing to do. Although, if you think that the bullets are going to be very clearly indicating that what you need to write and that will give you a clear idea for yourself, that's perfectly okay. So this is what we are talking about. Okay, Assalamu alaikum to those who have joined just now. So we are talking about chapter number 5 right now. Very quick recap of chapter number 5. And we have just talked about 5.1, the key point of 5.1. And if you want, you can visit the quick recap session later, or maybe you can visit the whole chapter's description also, and that will really help you in revising the whole concept. So persistent cookies and session cookies have been coming quite frequently in the paper. So you can see here. And persistent, this type of cookie is stored in the user's hard drive or SSD until the expiry date has reached or the user deletes it himself. They remain in operation on the user's computer even after the browser is closed or the website session has ended. They remove the need to type in the login details every time a certain website is visited. This is achieved by storing the user preferences. Such a comprehensive answer. Now, again, I'm repeating, a lot of times students keep on asking the question, Miss, if it's a question of description, how should I write? So up to you, whether you want to write it this way or you want to write it that way. That's perfectly okay. Both the methods are completely well and you can use any method. Okay, now just okay, then just give me a minute and let's recap. Now moving to the next one. Sample low-level answers, just showing you, although I do not expect that you will be definitely moving to this one at all. But this is what is a low-level answer. In the low-level answer, you can see a cookie is used when a user visits a website each time. Not a good answer at all. Session cookies only last when the user visits the website, and a persistent cookie is the one which is always there. Again, not well explained. And then the three uses would be would recognize user preferences, putting things in a virtual shopping basket, and targeting users with specific AdWords. That is, you can see for yourself. This is just shown to you so you can understand that the low level answer and the high level answer. And I do not expect anyone to definitely write a low level answer at all. You should be actually doing everything very well in order to score your marks. Now moving to 5 point. Now there are a few exam style questions as you can see here, which are similar to what you have seen in the past papers also. So just for the purpose of practice, do attempt these questions and question number 1 and question number 2, and then you can come up with the answers. If there's any problem, then you can discuss with me. Now moving to 5.2 digital currencies. What is a digital currency? So first thing that you need to know is how is it different from the fiat currency that we talk about? And digital currency exists purely in digital format and has no physical form. Unlike fiat currency, for example, when you talk about rupees or dollars or pounds, etc., so they are relying on a central banking system, centralization. However, this makes it difficult to maintain confidentiality and security. So this is a brief description about what digital currency is. And now moving to the term cryptocurrency. By the way, this term has been in use quite often. So what is cryptocurrency? You must have heard about it. So it's a type of digital currency that overcomes security and confidentiality issues. Unlike other types of digital currency, cryptocurrency has no state control and transactions are publicly available and can be fully tracked. Now moving to centralization, like here in Pakistan, if I talk about Pakistan, you have State Bank, and the State Bank of Pakistan is there to handle all the transactions and everything it is aware of, because every single bank is under its control. Now that means the confidentiality of the transactions is compromised. Now, moving to cryptocurrency, the problem of security and confidentiality has been removed. There's no state control, and transactions are available publicly, and we can work on them. Cryptocurrency uses cryptography to track transactions. The use of cryptography was introduced to address the security problems available with the centralization of digital currency. Now, this is a brief description of what digital currency is. So, by the way, this is your revision guide. To those who have joined just now, we are doing very quick recap from the revision guide because we have already studied in detail from our book, and we are referring to the revision guide at the moment only. Now moving to blockchain. Any idea about the term blockchain? I mean, you may have heard about the term blockchain. Okay, now the term blockchain, what is it actually? I can see here, cryptocurrency makes use of blockchaining. It's a decentralized database. When a new transaction is taking place, all network computers in the system get a copy of the transaction, removing security risks such as hacking. Now, this is what is the biggest advantage of the cryptocurrency thing, blockchain thing. It is eliminating the problem of threat that we encounter in other form of transactions. When a new transaction is taking place, a new block is created. The new block contains data, a new hash value, and a previous hash value. Now, this again can come in the paper. Like, right at the moment, I'm just telling you that what can come in the paper, what you need to be prepared for. Whenever a new transaction is occurring, three values are going to be there in the new block. The first one is the data itself, the first one. The second one is your hash value. And this is what is you do not need to know what a hash value is and how it is being created. You simply need to know a unique value generated by an algorithm. That's all for you. And a previous hash value also, and this previous hash value is simply pointing to the previous block. And this is how we ensure the you can say the transaction is not going to be hacked by anyone. And along with that, what you need to know is this hash value is unique to each block and includes a time stamp. And this timestamp is identifying when the block was created. That this is how the whole transaction is going to be, can say taken care of, and the no problem is going to occur. In a blockchain, the first block is called the Genesis block. So out of this paragraph, what is very, very important for us to remember, first thing is a transaction is created when a new block is created. And this block contains mainly three values: data, hash value, and the previous hash value. It also contains a timestamp that is indicating the time when the block was created. And this is going to be like the moment a hash value has changed, it means that there's a problem, and this will make the we can say the process stop its working. Now, what happens actually? If a block has been accessed illegally, for example, by a hacker, the hash value will change. This is what I said. The moment a hacker is accessing means it will change the hash value. And this means the link to all the following blocks is now broken. The chain is now broken. And you can see that is why maybe the word blockchain has been given this name, because of it's creating a chain of the different blocks. And that's why maybe blockchain. This is what I'm assuming. A proof of work is used to prevent high-speed number crunching using a computer from altering all of the block hash values by a cyber criminal. The proof of work takes 10 minutes to complete, thus preventing cyber attacks. Now, this is again an important thing. A proof of work is used to prevent high-speed number crunching. Lastly, cryptocurrency is policed by miners, and these are special network users who are getting a commission for the time each new block is created. Now, this is the whole process that we need to know. And apart from that, the other uses of blockchain, apart from this can again come in the paper. Smart contracts in research, for example, development of new drugs, in politics, and in many areas of education. So this will complete this topic. And again, the following sample question and answer. Describe the main differences and similarities between digital currency and cryptocurrency. This can come in the paper. Again, children, I really suggest you that you better go through this booklet and its sample question and answers also for a brief description, so that if you get a question like this, at least you are able to answer them properly. Like on examination day, inshallah, which is coming soon, you are able to recall and you are able to answer. Now, I hope that you are well prepared for the paper on the 13th. 13th of May coming soon. So I hope that you all are well prepared for that. Now, to answer the questions fully, at least three distinct fee differences or similarities between the two types of currency need to be described. Avoid answers such as digital currency is centralized, whereas cryptocurrency is not centralized. Now, they are giving you the hint. A 3-mark question how to answer. Such answers don't explain the difference and just state opposites, which is insufficient to gain any marks. See, this is what the children are normally making a mistake in. Description, one problem, how to answer. Should I write it in a paragraph or should I write it in bullets? Up to you. Whichever you are okay with, you can do it that way. And then second one is these kind of differences are not, I can say, very appreciated because this is what is not talking about the differences. They are just simply talking about the opposites. So again, avoid so that you can get the right answers. Now, this is a sample high level answer. Both types of currency are in a digital format and have no physical form, unlike traditional money such as dollars, pounds, etc. Then a digital currency relies on a central banking system to make a transaction, whereas cryptocurrency has no state control and there's no need for a centralized banking system. Cryptocurrency uses a method known as blockchaining. As you can see here, this is a block, one block created, then Genesis block, then another block created, and this is what the value is. Now, this hash value becomes the previous one's hash value. This value becomes the previous one's hash value. This value becomes the previous hash value. And this is what the thing is, that if any hacker has tried to access maybe this block, it means the chain is broken. Because now once the user or hacker has access, its value will change. It will not be the same anymore. Due to centralization, digital currencies have security and confidentiality issues. Cryptocurrency transactions are all publicly available to all members and network on the network. All transactions can therefore be tracked using blockchaining, thus making all transactions transparent and removing risks such as hacking. So I've just discussed the answers, read the answers for you so you can understand what they expect you to write as a sample high level answer. And I'm definitely not going to talk about the low level answer at all, but still you can see yourself. I mean, if you are an examiner yourself, you will not give any mark or maybe very few marks to the sample low level answer completely. And you can see the first answer has 3 parts to it. Similarities between the two types of currency, gives differences between the two types of currency, but it also gives a very detailed description of why the two are different. Why are they different? A very clear answer to each will be worth full marks. The second answer makes a very common mistake. Cryptocurrency isn't the same as digital currency. There are many differences. No marks will be awarded since the actual similarities have not been explained. However, 1 mark might be awarded for the last sentence since it's true that both do not have physical existence. So this is what you can see. You can easily score marks if you have been a bit cautious. Like my main objective right now is just to acquaint you with this, that how can I score the marks? This is what I really want. Nothing to, like, you know very well. You don't have to worry at all. You all can do it, inshallah. And a few exam style questions are here. And what is meant by blockchain, apart from monetary transactions, name 3 of the user of blockchain, and then drawing a diagram. Again, drawing a diagram. This can again come in the paper. By the way, again, from this chapter, we've identified the first thing that we identified for our question that I was dealing with. Annotate and draw the diagram was your DNS. And second one, this can again come in the paper. Although this hasn't come yet, but it can come in the paper. So inshallah, we are going to have a class that is going to be dealing with only the diagram. So don't worry at all. Inshallah, we'll be doing it. So will you be able to manage this topic? 5.2, digital currency, and 5.3 is cybersecurity. Again, a number of topics are very simple. So by the way, how many of the topics you are okay with? Can we quickly recall? Gee, children, can we recall how many of the topics we are very good at? First thing that we need to know and remember is, okay, now. Okay, now. Cybersecurity refers, now this can again come in the paper, the definition. Cybersecurity refers to systems put in place to defend computers or electronic devices, web servers, mobile phones, and networks, and their associated data when attacked by a cyber criminal. So this is what is the definition of cybersecurity, which you need to know in order to answer this question. There are a number of cybersecurity threats that must be considered. The first one, okay, now let's do them one by one. Do we remember what is brute force attack? All combination of letters, numbers, and other symbols are tried to generate the passwords, and this is relying on the high speed of computer processing. Just think for yourself. Like for example, if you were supposed to hack into the system, what are the possible combinations of password that you will try? The very first one is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and you can do maybe 8 9. Another one is ABC 1 2 3. Another one can be QWERTY. Another one can be XYZ 7 8 9. So these are the normally used passwords which are used by the people, and this is what is the first option that is tried by the hackers in order to access the web the any user's account or anything. If it's not a common password, then the criminal is going to check a word list, and this is a text file that is containing a collection of words that have been used in passwords by certain groups of people or organizations. While the word list can still be very long, they do save a lot of time. Now, this is what is brute force attack, trying out by a list from like yourself or by using a word list, and from there you can figure out the different password options that are available and you can access them. Second problem that we talk about is data interception, and we can see is the stealing of data by tapping into the network. This can be done by packet sniffers. Okay, now this has come in the paper. You have been asked to draw a diagram to show how data interception takes place, and you were not told at all that what you need to draw, but you need to be very clear that packet sniffer, and by the way, packets are going to be there maybe in a local network, and you can simply draw one sender, one receiver. You can draw a line, and then a packet sniffer is there to access, and this is how you can explain the whole process just by drawing a few boxes, writing down the keywords, drawing a line, connecting the two, and writing few keywords. And this will be done for you. Now moving to this one, examining all data packets on a network and reading the data being moved across the network. Sniffing as the name implies. Along with this packet sniffer, there's another concept that we need to know, and that is war driving. And this is also called access point mapping. It's the method that intercepts Wi-Fi signals or wireless signals. The method requires a laptop, smartphone or tablet, an antenna, a GPS device, and software to gather the data from the wireless network. Now, you may have experienced that sometimes you are using your Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi signals, the Wi-Fi your packet is finishing very quickly. Maybe it is because maybe some of your neighbor has accessed your Wi-Fi password. So this is what you need to be very cautious about. How to safeguard? To safeguard against war driving, what we can do? Wired equivalency privacy encryption. WEP encryption protocol is used. This gives a wireless LAN the same level of security as a wired network. And remember, although this is not included in your syllabus in detail, but remember, wireless is not a secure method as compared to the to the wired network. Wired network or cables are always more secure as compared to a wireless mechanism. So this is what is mainly something that you need to know in order to talk about data interception. First, brute force attack. Second, data interception. And under it, we have talked about first one is packet sniffer, and second one is war driving. I hope that this is very clear. Now moving to DDoS or distributed denial of service attack. Very simple. An attempt to prevent anyone accessing the network or the part of the network, maybe the web server. Now again, let me recall, this topic has again come in annotating and drawing a diagram twice. So again, a very simple concept. You are not allowed to access the web server because maybe a botnet has been created. Achha, just telling you at the moment, and inshallah, we'll be doing this diagrams discussion in one of the classes. So you can recall how to attempt this question also, inshallah, so that we are going to get my marks, inshallah, very well. It's an attempt to prevent anyone accessing part of the network, for example, a specific server. System uses a network of computers to carry out an attack. It is slightly different to a DOS attack, which only uses a single computer to carry out the attack. DOS is therefore more easy to identify and remove the risk. Now, this is what is the difference. In this paragraph, they've talked about DOS, which is denial of service attack, with DDoS, which is distributed denial of service attack. So what is the difference here? You can see in DOS or, denial of service attack, there's only one computer and it is easy to identify. But in distributed one, there may be a botnet that is being created, and through that, it is difficult that where the thing has been generated from. DDoS can also be used to attack an individual's computer by preventing them accessing the emails, certain websites, or online services. Like I may be a victim of DDoS attack if I'm not allowed to access the computer, but I'm not allowed to access my emails. I'm not allowed to access certain websites, or I'm not allowed to access my certain online services. So whenever any of these problems are there, it means I am going to be sure that I am basically a victim of DDoS. Are you clear about this? Now moving to attack. Attack can be carried out by sending out masses of spam emails. Now you may have heard about the term spam. Do you know what is a spam? Yes, children, the meaning of the word spam. Okay. What is it? Okay, if you know the meaning, then can you tell me what is the meaning? What is spam actually? Anyone, please? Uh, See, you can simply say uninvited. Uninvited emails is unsolicited. Unsolicited emails, uninvited emails are basically your spam emails. Now, do not confuse yourself with the word scam. Scam is different and spam is different. Spam emails simply means unsolicited emails, uninvited emails. Sometimes, or you can say a junk. I mean something that is not needed. So sometimes it happens that just imagine yourself that if your inbox is full of the emails which are coming from some people which you have never, or some sites which you have never visited. So it means that you are attacked, and your attack is going to stop you from accessing the emails coming from trusted sources. Maybe you have applied for the university admission, and you are denied access because of maybe denied access to the college admission because the email is not reaching your inbox because it's flooded with unnecessary traffic. So this is what the spam messages or spam emails are. And this will overload a server or fill up a user's inbox. This is what I said. So just be clear. This can come in your paper for description. This can come in your paper for drawing. So just very clearly, you should be clear. This can even come in the paper asking about the difference between DOS and DDoS. So just be very clear about how to answer the questions if they come in the paper. Like my objective is just to acquaint you how to answer the questions. I hope that it's very clear. Any questions? And what can we do? Possible to mitigate the risk of DDoS by using up-to-date malware checkers, first option, ensuring there's a firewall running to filter out spam, and applying email filters. So these are the three methods through which we can secure ourselves from this attack. Okay, children? These are the three. So you can just note them down. Three ways of preventing from DDoS. The first one is up-to-date malware checker. Second one is ensuring a firewall is running to filter out spam traffic. And the third one is applying email filters. If you really know about email filters, I mean, if you've ever applied the email filter, so if the email is coming from a non-trusted person or from an unknown person, it never lands into the inbox. It lands into the junk. So this is how it is prevented, or maybe it is landing in spam email folder. In this manner, your email will not be, your inbox will not be flooded with unnecessary traffic. Now, hacking again, you know very well, gaining illegal access to a person's computer. And that illegal access means that without your consent. And remember, along with hacking, we talk about ethical hacking. And ethical hacking is when the companies employ the people or staff is employed to see the loopholes, to see that is their system robust enough to handle the hackers, to handle the unnecessary intrusion, or they are not well prepared for that. And they are simply there to check the strength of the security measure that have been adopted by the organization. So now this is a simple thing, and now malware is again, any questions regarding hacking, ethical hacking? Now, malware is one of the biggest threats, biggest risk to the integrity and security of the data. And this is what you need to know. The six malware, First one is virus, second one is worm. Now let's learn them. Virus, worm, Trojan horse, and then we have ransomware, adware, and spyware. So the first thing that we need to know is, if the question comes in the paper that virus is one type of malware, state any two other malware. So if they have mentioned virus as a malware, you will not mention this as an answer. Please be very cautious. And then a very summarized version of this is available. So let's very quickly go through this. And okay, now I'm giving you time to go through this. And inshallah, we are going to discuss it just after 2 minutes.